I never thought my life would take this kind of turn. For 5 years, I believed Candy and I were building something real, something unshakable. Our marriage wasn't flawless, but I loved her with every piece of me and truly thought she felt the same. We dreamed of the future together, children, a home, stability, and with the promotion I had recently landed, making a higher salary than ever before, those dreams finally felt within reach. But something in her changed, and it gnawed at me endlessly, like a shadow lurking just out of sight. The shift began after a camping trip I took with Jake, my boss. When I returned, Candy wasn't the same. She was distracted, her patience paper-thin, her eyes often distant even when she was right next to me. At first, I brushed it off, stress, maybe exhaustion. But then I stumbled across something that twisted my gut into knots. A stain in her underwear, carrying a smell that left no room for innocence. My chest collapsed under the weight of what I was seeing. I stayed silent, too afraid of the truth to confront her then. The very next day, I sought help. A friend had recommended Ruby Hawkins, a sharp, no-nonsense divorce attorney. Sitting across from her in her pristine office, she asked, "Are you certain your wife is unfaithful?" My voice cracked as I admitted, "I'm not sure. But I need to know. And if she is, I want out." Ruby laid out my options with clinical precision. Gather evidence. Proof of infidelity would strengthen everything. She put me in touch with Marvin Johnson, a seasoned private investigator, and suggested I discreetly plant both a tracking app on Candy's phone and a small audio recorder in her purse. It felt dirty, invasive, but the alternative, living in doubt, blind and suspicious, was worse. Days later, while I was away on a business trip to the West Coast, Candy's voice over the phone was unusually bright. She casually mentioned picking up a waitressing gig at a party Jake was hosting. My stomach tightened. Jake had never once mentioned such an event during our trip, and Candy wasn't one to grab odd-side jobs. "Just a little extra money before classes start," she said lightly. I forced a calm response, but inside I was screaming. The moment I hung up, I called Marvin. He promised to dig deeper. The following morning his email arrived, and with it my world shattered. Not only had Candy gone to Jake's party, she had stayed the entire night. Attached were photos that I can never unsee. My wife, my partner of 5 years, wrapped up in intimate acts not only with Jake, but with other men I once called friends. I dropped my phone, my hands trembling violently, breath torn from my lungs. And as though that weren't enough, Marvin's detailed report revealed a nightmare. Candy had gone further, sleeping with 10 men in total. One of them was Jake's own son. I stayed in my hotel room for hours, unable to move, suffocating under betrayal. This wasn't just the collapse of my marriage. It was the funeral of the life I thought I'd been building. My mind rewound to the very start. Meeting Candy fresh out of college, her laugh echoing at a friend's party, her red dress catching my eye like fire in the dark. Our early years, scraping by on retail shifts and my entry-level IT paycheck, but still happy with greasy pizza and late-night movies. She had been my light, my anchor, the woman who said yes when I knelt with a trembling ring box in hand. How blind I had been. While I bled myself dry working weekends and late nights for us, she was destroying me in ways I never thought possible. When I came home from that trip, Candy greeted me like nothing was wrong. A kiss, a warm "missed you, babe." The audacity turned my stomach. I went along with it, silent, careful. Over the following days, Marvin continued his work, supplying me with high-definition video proof. Ruby began stitching it into a rock-solid case. 4 days later I was ready. That evening, when the house was still and Candy was curled up on the couch scrolling through her phone, I said quietly, "Can we talk?" She looked up, casual, unaware. I set my tablet on the table, pressed play, and let the damning video fill the silence. Her color drained, her lips parted without sound, her body trembling as she reached out to me. "I loved you," I said, my voice shaking. "I gave you everything, and this is what you do with Jake, and with them?" She broke, sobbing, trying to grab my arm. But I snapped back, "Don't touch me." At that very moment, her parents walked in, cheerful hellos on their lips that quickly died. "What's happening?" her mother asked, alarmed. I turned the tablet toward them, hit play again. "Ask your daughter," I said icily. Candy lunged for the device, but I kept it away. Her mother's face twisted in horror, tears spilling as she spat. You've disgraced this family. Her father, stone-faced, couldn't even meet her eyes. Candy crumbled to the floor wailing, Tim, please, I made a mistake. I cut her off with steel in my voice. No. You made choices. Again and again. I delivered the final words. I'm filing for divorce. And I'll take everything that matters. Then I left, her parents' fury ringing in the air as Candy fell apart behind me. Walking out of that house, for the first time in weeks, I felt a twisted calm. Not closure, something darker, sharper. The realization that the end of my pain had only just begun. And now it was her turn to live in the fire she had lit. Weeks later, Ruby convinced me to meet Candy in a neutral place, a downtown coffee shop. She wanted to explain. I sat across from her, arms folded, listening. She looked hollow, nothing like the woman I once adored. It wasn't about you, she whispered, voice quaking. Not even about Jake. You were always gone, always working. I felt invisible. My rage boiled. So your solution was to sleep with my boss? And a room full of his friends? To feel visible? She sobbed, claiming it had started with Jake, that he made her feel wanted, and then spiraled out of control. I spat venom. Do you even hear yourself? Do you know what you've done to me? To us. Her final dagger. I thought you didn't love me anymore. Jake told me you didn't. That you were just waiting to leave me. That was when it clicked. Jake hadn't just betrayed me as a boss, he had twisted her mind, manipulated her until she tore down our life with her own hands. And that realization didn't spark forgiveness, it ignited fury. With Marvin's help, I tore into Jake's life. And oh, what we uncovered. A hidden second family in another state. Endless affairs. Shady business deals. Worse, proof that he had been embezzling company funds to bankroll it all. Armed with evidence, I sent every shred to the board of directors. Within 2 days, Jake was fired, disgraced, and financially gutted. His wife left him, his children turned their backs, and the empire he thought untouchable collapsed. Just to twist the knife, I forwarded Candy a copy of the decision. The man she had sacrificed everything for was nothing but rubble. She called me sobbing, begging me to stop. You've done enough, Tim. Please, let it go. Let it go. I said coldly. You didn't let anything go when you betrayed me. You'll live with what you've sown. A week later, Candy appeared at my door, pale, trembling. I'm pregnant, she whispered, tears spilling. I don't know if it's yours or Jake's. The world tilted. Pregnant. I slammed the door before she could finish. Ruby pushed for a paternity test. Months later, when the child was born, the truth was undeniable. Jake's. Relief flooded me. I was free. Candy wasn't. Jake wanted nothing to do with her. Her parents cut ties, shamed and disgusted. She lived alone, scraping by with a dead-end job and a child that wasn't mine. Meanwhile, I began to heal. Slowly, piece by piece. I met Emily, a woman scarred by her own divorce, yet kind, genuine, and honest. We learned to trust again. To build something real. As for Candy, the last I heard, she was still struggling, raising Jake's child alone. Did I pity her? Maybe a little. But mostly, I felt nothing. She was no longer a wound, just a closed chapter in my book. And for the first time in years, I finally felt whole. That was enough.